Hello and welcome back to the Movie KD Challenge. This episode we are looking at the movie Aliens and in particular Pvt Vasquez. Now it's very difficult to try and pin down exactly how many kills that she gets in the film. I've looked on a few websites, I watched the film a few times and I've counted it up as 13. Instead of looking at the kills, this is just a quick tribute to Pvt Vasquez. Okay, so I worked out about 13. I reckon she got 13 kills. That's including one face hugger and 12 xenomorphs. So, Jeanette Vasquez, she was the smart gun operator for the United States Colonial Marines who went into LV-426 aboard the US Sulaco to investigate the sudden loss of contact with the colony on Hadley's Hope. Now, Hadley's Hope is the colony that was set up on LV-426. This takes place 56 years after the movie Alien, and the company Weyland-Yutani, they sent over a colony to make the air breathable. They set up this big atmosphere processor, and they were there the colony were there to run the processor and oversee kind of the running and day-to-day of it. The colony became infected with the xenomorphs, much like Kane did in the movie Alien, and after a while they lost contact with them, and then they sent in the Marines, as they always do. Pvt Vasquez was part of the first squad gun team along with Private Hudson, and she was one of the last Marines to perish in the incident. She took her own life along with her lieutenant. Rather than being captured by the xenomorphs to be impregnated, she decided that she would take her own life and take some of the xenomorphs with them. She had a long history with the fellow smart gun operator, Private Drake, and the two shared a very close, possibly even romantic relationship. In the film, you can see that the relationship between the two, they're very close. They share a common bond. Vasquez was originally born outside of the United States, and her entry into the country was unclear, although it was insinuated by Private Hudson in the film that she was an illegal immigrant who signed up. In her youth, she was in a street gang, and she was involved in a murder in which she spent time in juvenile detention, and that is where she met Private Drake. And the two of them both signed up and enlisted for the United States Colonial Marines as part of the Service or Jail Act in order to avoid further detention. The two passed through boot camp and together, requesting assignment to the same unit, they both enlisted in advanced weapons training. And the two remained incredibly close, which earned them the nickname the Sweethearts from their smart gun drill instructor, although both of them denied any kind of romantic relationship. During her early career, Vasquez was cited several times for disorderly conduct, although she eventually went on to become a dedicated Marine. And you can see a lot of that in the film, disobeying orders. But this was just kind of the person that she was. She was a no-nonsense kind of, no-shit-taking kind of person. And her, like the rest of the Marines, they kind of assumed the mission to LV-426 was kind of a bit of a joke, and it wasn't to be something that was going to be taken seriously. And you can see that a lot in the briefing and in the early locker room scenes. There's kind of a disdain towards Ripley and towards the mission itself. After they land on LV-426, Vasquez and Hudson are paired off. They're tasked with searching the area. They're searching one of the operation units, and it's Vasquez and Hudson who find the first evidence of xenomorphs. They find large holes in the metal grates on the floor, which has been burnt out by the xenomorph blood. If you don't know that the xenomorph has acid for blood, concentrated acid for blood, they do a sweep of the area and they find multiple kind of holes and burn marks. I think it's at this time that it kind of dawns on her and the rest of the Marines that they're actually up against something that may not be quite so easy to push over. And anyway, they find all the colonists who have been taken over to an atmosphere processor, and they're tasked then with going to investigate. And this is when this is kind of one of the focus points of the film, where the Marines take heavy losses and suddenly realise they're up against a much tougher foe. This was paralleled to the Vietnam War. When the United States got involved in the Vietnam War, they kind of thought it was going to be a couple of years at most, and with their superior firepower and technology and air power, they thought that taking out the Vietnamese would be a walkover. It would, well, not necessarily a walkover, but it wouldn't be a difficult war. And instead, the war lasted 10 years, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people lost their lives. And eventually the United States had to pull out and admit defeat. And this is very much like the movie Aliens. When the Marines get down onto LV-426, they've got superior firepower. They've got pulse rifles, smart guns, grenades, sentry guns, nukes, sharp sticks, and long knives. And they get their asses kicked. And they have to fall back and regroup and rethink their position, and it's suggested that instead of trying to fight the xenomorphs, they should just take off and nuke the entire site from orbit. And that was kind of the plan. I don't want to go too much into the film and spoil it and ruin it, but yeah, it's a film about, much like Alien, it's about facing something that you know is going to be your greatest challenge and having to dig yourself out of a hole. This is one of the very rare instances in where the sequel to a movie is as good, if not better, than the original. There are only a handful of films that I can think of that I've seen that fit this criteria, and this is one of them. This took the horror, sci-fi, claustrophobic film of Alien and really expanded on it. They introduced, obviously, much more advanced weapons, a squad of Marines, and more xenomorphs. In the first film, there's only one. It's one xenomorph against a crew of 6, and now we've got, hundreds of these aliens against a squad of Marines who are heavily armed and very well trained. And Vasquez was one of the smart gun operators. She was one of 2, and the smart gun is essentially a light machine gun. It enables the Marine squad to lay down heavy fire, and she was very proficient with it. She gets multiple kills with it on the exit and the fallback from the nest. She eventually has to ditch it because it's blocking their escape, and she has to switch over to the rifle, the pulse rifle, which she is equally proficient with. And it's because of her proficiency with the pulse rifle that enables Hicks and Ripley and Newt to make their escape. In a last-ditched attempt to slow down the xenomorphs, when her pulse rifle runs out, she switches just to a pistol, and it's a little bit like bringing a knife to a gunfight. She manages to take out one xenomorph with the pistol, but ultimately, when she runs out of ammo with her pistol, she's left with self-sacrifice, which she does with her lieutenant. She's a wonderful character and brings a level of feminism. And I did mention in Alien that Alien, I think, was one of the first films to have a female protagonist, and in this film, Aliens, we have 2. And so I really hope I've sold the film to you. It's a great film. It's one of my favourites. It's not just action and adventure. There's some great storylines and some wonderful, wonderful characters. If you haven't seen it, I urge you to go and check it out. You won't be disappointed. If science fiction and action is your thing, to go and have a watch. So this game is coming to a close. Thank you very much for sticking around. If you enjoyed the video, please think about giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel for more content. I will see you on the next one. Thank you very much.